Hello everyone, welcome back to the fifth video of the Python tutorials for beginners series. In this video, I'll be covering if, elif and else statements. In the last video, we covered conditionals and conditional operators, as well as covering the if statement briefly. So in this video, we'll continue on that topic. So over here, what I've done is I have made a variable age and assigned the integer 21 to that variable age. Next, I have a conditional which asks age is greater than or equal to 18. So what Python does is that it evaluates this conditional and basically it asks if 21 is greater than or equal to 18, which is true because 21 is greater than 18. If this conditional is evaluated to be true, what Python does next is that it performs the statements below. So over here, the print statement you are an adult is performed, and remember that you can have more than one line. So let's say print hello. So yeah, you can have many lines as you like, and the code block underneath the if statement ends when you have a line that's no longer indented. So make sure that you have indented this correctly. In this case, I've indented it with 4 spaces, and make sure that it has been indented correctly because Python is very you need to be very careful with indentation in Python, otherwise your code will give you an error. So over here, since this condition is true, it will run these print statements and it also run this print statement. So let's run the code, and you can see that it has printed out you are an adult, hello, and then done. Alright, so the condition here is true and it has executed the statements. Now let's say I replace this with 16, print this out and run the code, and you can see that since this condition is false, these lines are not executed. Only the last line is executed because it's outside the if code block, and you can see it has only printed out done. Now just to show something, if we remove the indentation and run the code, you can see that we have got an error, and the error is indentation error expected indented block. So make sure your indentation is correct, alright, to ensure that there are no syntax errors. So let's go back. So what we have done here, right, is that we have taken a variable age and we have checked whether the person is above 18 or equal to 18. But what if the person is not above or equal to the age 18? So over here you can see that nothing has been printed out, and we want to still print out something even if the person's age is below 18, and we can do this by using something called an else statement. So the way else works is we simply type in else followed by a colon, and we press enter, print you are not an adult. Alright, so what Python does is that it first checks for this condition. So since this condition is false, as age is equal to 16 and 16 is not greater than or equal to 18, it does not perform this statement. In fact, it goes to else, and then it goes to this print statement, and it says you are not an adult. So let's run the code, and you can see that it has printed out you are not an adult. So this is how the if else statements work. If your if condition is false, it'll go to else and print this out. Now let's say I want to find out so let's say a person is less than 18 years old, but I want to check if the person is above 12 years old, right? So what we can do here is that if the person is not above 18, next I want to check if the person is above or equal to 12 years old. And the way I can do this is by typing in else elif. Alright, elif age is greater than or equal to 12, right? And I can say print you are above 12. Alright, so what this code does, and let me just you are below 12. So what this code does is that you have first the variable and age is equal to 16, and what it does is that it goes to the if statement and evaluates this condition. So since 16 is not greater than or equal to 18, this is false, and we go to the next statement. So Elif. So Elif stands for else if. It's just a short form for else if. And Elif is basically you go from the if statement to the Elif, and then this conditional is evaluated. So it checks if 16 is greater than or equal to 12. So in this case, 16 is in fact greater than 12. So what it does is that it prints out this statement and it just skips everything below. So you have this else block, this is completely ignored. So let's run the code, and you can see that it has printed out you are above 12, as you can see from this statement. And once again, remember that the else block is not evaluated. You can also add in more elif blocks. So let's say after checking if a person is above 12, I want to check if the person is above 8, right? So I can put in elif age is greater than or equal to 8, print you are above 8, and I'll also edit the else block. Basically, the Python interpreter goes downwards and it first checks for this condition. If this condition is true, then this code is executed. If this condition is false, it goes to this condition. If it's true, then this statement is executed. If not, then so on, right? You can put in as many elif statements as you like. So let me just run the code. So let's try 16 again. So you can see that it has printed out you're above 12. Let's try 21. So in this case, the first expression is true. So we'll execute the first print statement. So it says you're an adult. Then let's do what if, let's put in 10. All right. We run the code. So in this case, this expression and this expression are both false. So Python skips these two, the first two expressions. Then it evaluates this expression. So this expression is true, so it executes this statement, and you can see that it has printed out you're above 8. Finally, let's try age is equal to 5. We'll run the code. So in this case, all three expressions are evaluated false, and it goes to the last else statement, and it says you're below 8, which is what has been printed here. So that's how the if elif else block works. Remember that you can also put in operators like not. You can also use and or. So all your operators also work just fine. And yeah, that's how if elif else works. So now let's do a simple practice problem. So in this practice problem, we are trying to find out whether a person is eligible to drive, and we have to write a program which prints out you can drive if the age is above or equal to 18 years old, and print you cannot drive if the person is not above or equal to 18 years old. So please pause the video and you could try this problem, and once you're ready we can see the solution. So this is a pretty simple problem. So I have a variable here age, and I can change the number 15 to anything I like. So what I'll do here is that I have a if statement. So if age is greater than or equal to 18, which is what our condition is. If the age is above or equal to 18, then remember the colon, remember the indentation, then we'll print out you can drive. Also, don't forget the double quotes because you're printing out a string data type over here. All right, and you also have to print out you cannot drive if the person is not above 18. So we can use the else block here. Print you cannot drive. All right, so this is in fact it, and we can run the code. So over here the age is below 15, so it says you cannot drive. and let's change this to 21, and it prints out you can drive, right? So this is the solution. So let's try another practice problem. So we have to write a program to check if a number given by a user is divisible by 6. So to get a number from the user, you need to use user input, and then you have to check if it's divisible by 6. So yeah, and a hint is to use the modulo operator, which gives you a remainder, the remainder of the operation. And please try this problem out, then we'll go to the solution. So now let's go to the solution. So first what we need to do is to obtain the number, right, from the user. So what we can do is that we can make a variable number, input, say enter number to the user. And also remember that input gives us a string and we need to convert it to a number. So what we can do is can put this into the int function. So what int does is that it takes in the string and converts it into an integer. So now our number is a integer. Next, we need to check if the number is divisible by 6. And the way to do this is we can simply type if number is divisible by 6. And so what we need to do here is that we need to check if the remainder is equal to 0, right? And let's just print yes. So what I've done here is firstly this operation will be performed. Alright, so number modulo 6. So what number modulo 6 does is that it gives us the remainder when you divide number by 6. The remainder, if the remainder is 6, then it will print yes. Otherwise, let's make a else block, print no. Alright, so this is it, and we can just get the input. We'll check if the remainder is 0 when when the number is divided by 6. Otherwise, we'll print out no. So we'll run the code. So let's input a number like 4. So it says no. Let's run the code again. This time let's print 12, which is in fact divisible by 6. So it says yes. So yeah, this is the solution to the problem. Final problem is this one is a very long if elif else statement block. So write a program that takes in temperature and prints out very cold if the temperature is between 0 and 10, cold if it's 10 to 20, normal when it's 20 to 25, and so on. So now let's go to the solution. So let's make a variable temperature and let's just make it, let's say 16. All right, 16 degrees. Now we need to write a very long conditional block. So first we'll type in if temperature is greater than or equal to 0, and so over here we need to use and temperature is less than 10. All right, then we print out very cold. So next we need to use an elif statement. Temperature, so now I need to check if it's greater than or equal to 10, and temperature is less than 20. So I'll print out cold. So, so now let me just copy paste this, and you need to ensure that the indentation is correct. So this is 20 to 25, then next is 25 to 30, and we'll print out hot, and finally one last elif, we have 30 35 and very hot. And remember that you don't need to end with a else, so you don't need to have a else after the elif block. So let's run the code. So you can see that I have put temperature as 16, so this expression is evaluated to be false, whereas this expression is true, so it prints out cold. Alright, and you can change the temperature to 30. So it has printed out very hot because remember that 30 is not less than 30, so this expression is false, whereas 30 is equal to 30 in this case. So this statement is executed instead, and we get print very hot. So yeah, that's about it for this video. If you like this video, please consider sharing and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.